Everyone thought that I couldn't live without Cyril, but I just left and disappeared from his world. Brother, what are you going to do about the one outside? Are you going to keep her all the time? Annie said carefully to the man beside her. His face was cold and handsome, with a high and straight nose bridge, clear lip lines, and every contour perfectly outlining his unparalleled masculine charm. He had short black shiny hair, simple yet capable looking, gently fluttering in the wind, adding a bit more of a free and unrestrained feeling. He was dressed in a well-tailored black suit. The straight trouser lines outlined his long legs. He walked with composure in every step, as if the whole world was submitting at his feet. His fingers were long and strong, gently clasped on the platinum belt around his waist, making him look even more noble. The man took a look at me, who was having a great time playing with his brothers, without stopping the action of peeling shrimp in his hand. After getting married, Daphne said that I'm not allowed to betray her, or else she would disappear from my world forever. So I have to keep this from her forever. But, paper can't wrap fire. Annie looked worried. The man smiled and said, she won't know. However, what they didn't know was that I could understand lip language. 5 years ago, before I was with Cyril, I went to learn lip language with my friends, planning to work as a translator. I raised my head and drank up the wine in the glass, and my chest couldn't stop hurting. So, he had been lying to me all along. Sister-in-law, you can really hold your liquor. You can drink more than I can. His good brother Ryan said with a laugh. Sister-in-law is known as someone who can drink 1,000 cups without getting drunk, haha. Ryan's girlfriend Scarlett handed me a glass of warm water. Several people around were complimenting me, but I just stared at Cyril, not knowing what was on my mind. Cyril seemed to notice my gaze. He put the shrimp into my bowl and said gently, eat something. Don't drink anymore. I didn't say anything. Cyril thought I was drunk and quickly took away my wine glass. He said to everyone, whoever makes your sister-in-law drink again, I won't let him leave this door today. Oh ho, got it, henpecked husband. Knew you loved sister-in-law the most. We won't make her drink anymore. I felt so sad that I got up and went to the bathroom. Cyril wanted to follow me, but I refused. I'll go by myself. You guys have fun. Scarlett was worried and followed me. Sister-in-law, I'll go with you. Take it easy. After we left, Cyril said in a low voice, keep your mouth shut. Know what to say and what not to say, right? Understood. When I got to the bathroom, I felt nauseous and wanted to vomit. Scarlett asked me worriedly, do you want to go to the hospital? No, I'll be okay after a while. Sister-in-law, aren't you two preparing for pregnancy? Why did you drink today? Hearing this, my body froze. It seemed that I had forgotten about this, but Cyril didn't say anything and didn't stop me from drinking. After thinking about it, I smiled bitterly. Something had changed. Was this what it felt like when love was gone? You go back first. I want to take a break and be alone for a while, but Scarlett was still worried. I comforted her, I'm okay. Go play with them. Then call me if you need anything. Okay. After Scarlett left, I leaned against the bathroom door, tears blurring my eyes. Cyril had a woman outside, and even Annie, who was closest to me, knew about it, afraid that they would suspect something. After calming down, I washed my face and walked out. When Cyril saw me coming out, he got up to help me, but I said, I'm a bit uncomfortable. I'll ask the driver to take me home. You guys have fun first. I'll go home with you. Where are you uncomfortable? Let's go to the hospital? Cyril looked nervous. No, maybe it's just my stomach feeling uncomfortable because of the wine. It's nothing serious. You stay here and have fun with them. That's right. Sister-in-law needs to rest. Why are you stopping her? I'll ask the driver to take sister-in-law home. Or let Scarlett take her. Okay, you guys have fun. I'll take sister-in-law home. Scarlett got up, put on her coat, and took my arm to accompany me back home. On the way, seeing that I didn't say a word all the time, Scarlett was a bit worried. Sister-in-law, what's wrong today? Do you have something on your mind? I shook my head, I'm just a bit tired. Then go home and have a good rest. When you're feeling better, I'll take you out to relax. I smiled and said, okay. She didn't leave until she saw me home. After she left, I went back to the bedroom. Looking at the wedding photos on the wall, I just felt ridiculous. I put all the bank cards, black cards, and jewelry that Cyril gave me together. I thought it was time for me to leave. From the moment Cyril kept a woman outside from me, I knew that it was over between us. But knowing this, I still felt terribly sad. How could he? I met Cyril at Scarlett's banquet. We met just once, and Scarlett introduced him to me. From that day on, Cyril started to pursue me. He kept sending gifts and food outside my apartment, picking me up and dropping me off from work every day. Such an appealing person. Under his continuous pursuit, I fell for him. On the night he proposed, all his good brothers witnessed our love. After getting married, he was still as nice to me as before. I also thought that we would be happy like this forever. Unfortunately, I could understand lip language, and Cyril had lied to me. I called the bank and cancelled my personal account. I also cancelled my Weibo account. As for WeChat, I would cancel it on the day I left. It was 11 o'clock at night when Cyril came home. I was already asleep and didn't wait for him as usual. He thought I was asleep and sat by the bed for a long time. I only heard him murmur, "Daphne, I'm sorry." At that moment, my heart tightened. He had never said sorry before because he hadn't done anything wrong to me. Only tonight, he said sorry, which meant that he was really hiding something from me. At this time, his cell phone rang. Afraid of waking me up, he walked out of the bedroom to answer it. "What's going on? Didn't I tell you not to call me at night, Cyril? My stomach is a bit uncomfortable. There's bleeding in my lower abdomen. Stay still. I'll be there right away." Ask the aunt to call an ambulance. Listening to the voices outside, I just felt like a fool. He was so nervous. That person must be very important, so important that he forgot his previous promise. I curled up in the quilt, and tears silently slid down, wetting the pillow. The vows we once made had now become the most ironic memories. He had said that he would love and cherish me all his life and would never let me get hurt, but at this moment, all his anxiety and worry were for another woman. I closed my eyes, trying to block out those heartbreaking sounds. But Cyril's hurried footsteps as he left still ruthlessly broke through my defense. The moment the door closed gently, my heart also closed as if the whole world had fallen into darkness. I got up, turned on the small lamp beside the bed. The dim light shone on my pale face. I picked up my cell phone and with trembling fingers, I dialed a number that I hadn't called for a long time. On the other end of the phone, a warm and familiar voice came. "Daphne, what's wrong? Why are you still awake so late?" I'm okay. I just wanted to hear your voice." I tried hard to make my voice sound calm, but tears still dropped onto the screen of my cell phone disobediently. "Daphne, don't cry. Tell me, did Cyril bully you?" His words were full of concern and worry. I was silent for a moment and finally told him everything. On the other end of the phone, he sighed and said softly, "Daphne, you can't force feelings. If he doesn't have you in his heart anymore, letting go is good for both you and him." I hung up the phone and looked at the night outside the window, my heart full of scars. Yes, feelings that can't be forced are like sand that can't be held. The tighter you grasp it, the faster it slips away. The next morning, I got up early and cleaned the house spotlessly, as if I wanted to erase what happened last night. When Cyril came back, it was already noon. He looked tired and his eyes were full of apology. "Daphne, last night, He hesitated, as if he didn't know where to start. "It's okay. Have you had breakfast?" I was calm, just like usual. Seeing that I was okay, he seemed to be relieved. "Not yet. I drank quite a lot last night and slept at Ryan's place." My eyes changed slightly, but I didn't say anything and went straight into the kitchen to prepare breakfast. I prepared a simple breakfast. The slices of bread in the oven were slightly golden and the aroma of fried eggs and the mellow smell of milk intertwined, filling every corner of the whole space. However, this familiar smell no longer seemed to warm the already cooled emotions between us. He sat at the dining table, silently chewing the food, and from time to time, a bit of guilt and uneasiness showed in his eyes. I quietly watched him, with mixed feelings in my heart, but still forced myself to be calm. After he ate the last bite, I said softly, "I'll go out and play with Scarlett for a few days to relax." Hearing this, a look of surprise flashed across his face. It seemed that he hadn't expected that I would calmly propose such an arrangement. I'll go too. He almost blurted it out, with a hint of eagerness in his tone. I shook my head and a bitter smile curved on my lips. No need. When girls go out to play, what's the point of taking you with us? She doesn't even take Ryan with her. His leaving last night was also a thorn in my heart that I couldn't get over. Hearing this, his expression darkened. It seemed that he still wanted to say something, but in the end, he just sighed and nodded. Okay, then pay attention to your safety. Contact me if anything happens. I answered and turned around to clean up the dishes. His figure stayed at the kitchen door for a moment, and finally, he turned around and left. The moment the door closed gently, I seemed to hear the sound of my heart breaking, but this time, I didn't let the tears fall again. The next day, I saw him off to the company. I kissed him on the cheek as before, and he also kissed my forehead as usual. I'll leave the driver for you. Call me if anything happens. You must tell me everything. Got it? Go ahead. After he left, I started to pack my things. In the study, I printed a divorce agreement. I burned all our photos together, threw away all the flowers he gave me. As for the jewelry, I guess that woman probably had a set too, so I just sold them and turned them into cash. After doing all this, I stood in the empty study, looking at the bright yet somewhat indifferent sunlight outside the window, feeling a myriad of emotions in my heart. This room used to be the place where we planned our future together, shared joys and sorrows, but now it has become the starting point for me to bid farewell to the past and set off anew. I took a deep breath and walked towards the bedroom, then opened the safe that held our shared memories. Inside were not only the precious gifts he gave me, but also the plane tickets from our trips together, letters, and a pair of matching rings designed by him personally. I gently stroked the ring. The coolness on my fingertips seemed to be his last tenderness, yet it also stabbed my heart like needles. After hesitating for a moment, I still took it out along with the other items, examined them one by one, and then said goodbye to them one by one. At 10 o'clock in the morning, I contacted a moving company and decided to clear out everything here and seal up those ineffable emotions along with them. While the workers were busy packing and moving things, I sat alone on the sofa in the living room, quietly watching all this as if I were watching a play that had nothing to do with me. Until the last box of items was loaded onto the truck, I closed the door, stood at the entrance, and looked at the home that was about to become a memory. Finally, tears slid down my face uncontrollably. I didn't choose to leave immediately. Instead, I took a stroll in the park that we used to love the most. There, every tree and every leaf carried our laughter and tears. I sat on the bench where we often went, closed my eyes, and let the wind take away my thoughts as well as the past that I couldn't let go of. At that moment, it seemed that I could hear time whispering in my ear, telling me that letting go was for a better journey ahead. Cyril would surely ask Scarlett when he knew that I had left, so I told her in advance that we would go to Sonia first and then to Paris. Scarlett didn't ask many questions and agreed to it. I went to the second floor of the hotel that we often went to by myself. Just as I was about to go in, I heard a voice that was all too familiar coming from inside. Sister-in-law and Scarlett went out to play. Well, now you two can have a great time. It was Ryan's voice. Keep your mouth shut tightly. No one is allowed to mention a word in front of her. It was Cyril's voice. Cyril, I'm pregnant now. Do we still have to hide it? Hearing this, my whole body trembled. Pregnant? He got another woman pregnant. I mean, Cyril, it's normal for a man to have women after so many years. Why do you have to give up the whole forest for Daphne? Ryan echoed, yes. Do you want Chloe to stay with you without a proper status for a lifetime? So? His good friends had been helping him hide it from me. They all knew about it, but I was kept in the dark. I covered my mouth as tears dropped. At the moment when I turned around and fled, my heart felt as if it was stabbed by thousands of needles at the same time. Every step I took was like stepping on the tip of a knife, heavy and difficult. The corridor lights were dim and indifferent, stretching my shadow long, as if mocking my ignorance and naivety. Those sweet times we had spent together receded like the tide at this moment, leaving only memories exposed on the beach, dry and painful. I randomly found a hotel and went in, Curled up on the sofa, the silence around was torn apart by the occasional sound of cars outside the window. Each sound seemed to remind me that life was still going on while I seemed to be abandoned in the corner of time. Tears slid down silently and dropped on the cold sofa, disappearing quickly, just like the passionate emotions we once had which were evaporated by the coldness of reality without a trace. I thought of his gentle eyes and those affectionate promises. Every word used to be as bright as pearls, but now they had turned into sharp knives, stabbing every cell of mine. I once thought that I was an irreplaceable existence in his life, but it turned out that I was just a scenery in his emotional world, disappearing without a trace when the wind passed. I picked up my mobile phone. The call record on the screen showed the last conversation with him. It was just an ordinary good night, but behind it hid such an unbearable secret. My finger hovered over the delete button and finally pressed it down, deleting those memories along with it. The mobile phone slipped to the ground, making a crisp sound, and my heart broke along with it. Half an hour later, I dialed a number. The call was answered quickly on the other end. Daphne. Take me away. As far as possible, please. I was sobbing uncontrollably. The person on the other end seemed to be startled and was full of worry. Daphne, where are you? Tell me, where are you? I'll send you the address. Don't let anyone know. With my trembling fingers, I sent the message. Then, as if I had exhausted all my strength, I curled up in the corner and let the tears slide down silently. Each drop carried the weight of the past, and each sob was a farewell to the bygone years. The night outside the window was as dark as ink. The moonlight was stingy and didn't shed any tenderness. Only the street lamps were dim, stretching my shadow long, as if it was another me, silently accompanying this broken heart in this quiet night. Before long, there were hurried footsteps outside the door, followed by the slight sound of a key being inserted into the keyhole. The door was suddenly pushed open, and a beam of light pierced through the darkness, illuminating my face as well as those eyes full of anxiety and heartache. It was Aiden. He could always show up when I needed him the most, like a beam of light piercing through all my gloom. Daphne, don't be afraid. I'm here. He said softly, gently helped me up and hugged me in his arms. His embrace was warm and solid, as if it could block out all the coldness and harm in the world. I hugged him tightly as if I wanted to merge myself into his body, looking for a bit of comfort and support. Don't ask me anything, okay? Take me away, okay, I'll take you away. 3 days later, where is Daphne? Cyril grabbed Scarlett by the neck and asked harshly. Ryan pulled his hand away, annoyed. Cyril, calm down. Daphne is gone. How can I calm down? Tell me how I can calm down. Only then did Ryan turn around and look at his woman and ask, Scarlett, didn't you go out to play with sister-in-law? Why is sister-in-law missing? Scarlett finally caught her breath. I didn't go at all. Sister-in-law said that Cyril's friend would take her to play and I didn't need to follow. Cyril's face changed. What else did she say? Also, who the hell is Chloe? Why did sister-in-law say that Chloe is her good friend? I'm the one. Hearing this, Cyril's pupils suddenly tightened. She mentioned Chloe? Ryan was also stunned. Could it be? Cyril rushed madly back to the bedroom at home, opened the safe, and at the moment when he opened it, he slumped to the ground. Daphne. Daphne. The ring was gone, and all the memories related to them were gone. He opened the drawer again. The drawer was full of bank cards and some unworn jewelry. Deep in the drawer, a neatly folded piece of paper was lying quietly, as if waiting to be uncovered at a fateful moment. Cyril tremblingly unfolded it slowly. There were a few lines written in a handwriting that he was all too familiar with. Cyril, forgive me for leaving without saying goodbye. During this period, I've thought about it over and over again. Our relationship seems to have reached a crossroads where it needs to be re-examined. The ring is beautiful and the memories are sweet, but they have become shackles on my way forward. I choose to leave to set you free. I hope you can find the happiness that truly belongs to you. Also, since you already have someone you like, I'll completely leave your world. I said that don't lie to me, but you lied to me, betrayed me, and even your friends did the same. I don't want to forgive you. You got her pregnant. This is the biggest betrayal to me, Cyril. If we meet again, I just hope that we don't know each other. Between the lines, Daphne's resolute yet gentle determination was revealed, which made Cyril's heart feel as if it was cut by a knife. He clenched the piece of paper tightly. His fingertips turned white because of the force, his eyes were red, yet he stubbornly refused to let the tears fall. She knows. She knows. How could I be such a bastard, Daphne? Daphne. I don't love her. I don't like her. I only love you. I only love you. Scarlett and Ryan came in and were both stunned. They had never seen Cyril so out of control. Ryan went up to comfort him, and Scarlett picked up the letter on the ground and read it. Gradually, her face became darker and darker. She stepped forward and slapped him. Cyril, you're such a bastard. How could you do this to her? Ryan was confused. He pulled Scarlett away. Unexpectedly, Scarlett also slapped him. There was anger on her face that he had never seen before. Ryan, do you think everyone is as stupid as fools and can be played around by you? Ryan was stunned. Scarlett, what do you mean? What do I mean? Cyril kept a woman outside behind Daphne's back and got her pregnant. You knew about it too, right? I'm asking you if you knew? Scarlett couldn't help raising her voice. Ryan said in a low voice, yes, you're such fucking bastards. I hope you'll never find her in your lifetime. After saying that, she ran away. Ryan was worried and chased after her. Cyril slumped on the ground. The piece of paper seemed to weigh 1,000 pounds, making it hard for him to breathe. He tried to defend himself and make up for it, but his throat seemed to be blocked and he couldn't make any sound. He knew that no matter what he said now, it would seem so powerless and couldn't make up for the harm done to Daphne. In the room, he was left alone. Loneliness and regret intertwined into an invisible net, binding him tightly. He closed his eyes, and bits and pieces of the time with Daphne came to his mind. Those laughter, those quarrels, and those sweet memories had now all turned into sharp blades, cutting his heart one by one. Daphne, I'm really wrong. I'm willing to use everything I have to get your forgiveness, but will you still give me this chance? Cyril murmured to himself. Finally, tears burst out and slid down his cheeks, dropping on the floor, making a crisp sound. On the other side, Scarlett was running angrily in the night. The night wind blew across her cheeks, bringing a bit of coolness, but it couldn't blow away the anger in her heart. She didn't understand why friends who used to be so close had become like this. Daphne's kindness and innocence didn't deserve to be treated like this. Daphne, where are you? You must be okay. Don't let those bastards hurt you. Scarlett prayed silently in her heart. Her steps didn't stop. She continued to wander through the streets of the city, hoping to find Daphne's trace. Ryan followed closely behind. His heart was also full of guilt and uneasiness. He knew that he had played a disgraceful role in this matter. Although he hadn't directly participated in Cyril's betrayal, his silence and acquiescence were undoubtedly another kind of harm to Daphne. Scarlett, slow down. Don't fall. Ryan shouted from behind, his voice full of concern and anxiety. Scarlett didn't look back but just quickened her pace, as if she could vent all the anger and dissatisfaction in her heart in this way. Over here, Cyril's cell phone kept ringing. Thinking it was Daphne's call, he quickly answered it. Daphne? Where are you? I'm sorry. Will you come back? Chloe was startled. Cyril. She's left me completely. I'm wrong. I shouldn't have made such a mistake. Chloe felt bitter. She knew that he had never loved her, but she hadn't expected this. She touched her lower abdomen and said softly, go and find her, Cyril. She'll forgive you. Cyril searched all the places where they had been together, from the familiar coffee shop to the quiet park, from the brightly lit street corners to the alleys at dawn. Every place was filled with their former laughter and joy, but now only his lonely figure remained. His eyes became colder and colder, as if they could freeze the surrounding air. The emptiness and despair in his heart were like an abyss, devouring him. As for me, with the help of Aiden, I got away from that sad place and was taken to a quiet and beautiful town in England. The sky here was especially blue, the clouds were floating leisurely, the ancient buildings told the stories of the years, and the air was filled with the fragrance of flowers and plants. Everything seemed so harmonious and peaceful. In this strange country, I gradually regained my inner peace, and those pains seemed to fade away slowly with the passage of time. I told Aiden everything about Cyril and me, the sweetness and bitterness, the betrayal and forgiveness, without reservation. After hearing it, a flash of anger appeared in his eyes, and his clenched fist seemed to show his determination to seek justice for me. "I'll go and teach that bastard a lesson for you," he said indignantly. I gently stopped him and shook my head, with a hint of relief in my eyes. "Aiden, everything is over. There's no point in pursuing it anymore. I just want to live a good life and start anew now." Aiden looked at me, his eyes full of heartache and helplessness. He was my childhood sweetheart. Our friendship had withstood the test of time. Even after I got married, our contact became much less, but that tacit understanding between us remained the same. Occasional phone calls and brief greetings were enough to warm each other's hearts. In this town, I started a new life. I found a job. Although I was busy, it was fulfilling. I tried to make new friends. Although it was a bit difficult at first, as time went by, I gradually integrated into the life here. Every night, I would sit by the window, looking at the starry sky, and my heart was full of expectations and hopes for the future. As for Cyril, after losing me, his world seemed to collapse. He became taciturn and was no longer the high-spirited young man he used to be. He often sat alone in the coffee shop that we used to love the most, looking out of the window blankly, as if he was looking for my figure. His heart was full of remorse and self-blame. He knew that no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't win back the trust and love that he had lost. Chloe watched Cyril becoming more and more depressed, and her heart was filled with mixed feelings. She knew that she could never replace me in his heart, but she still silently accompanied him, hoping that he could get out of the gloom as soon as possible. She gently stroked her lower abdomen. That was her child with Cyril and also her only solace in her heart. She said softly, "Cyril, go and find her. She'll forgive you. As long as you sincerely repent, everything will be okay." However, Cyril seemed to have lost his way. He didn't know where he should go, nor did he know how to get back the me who had once loved him deeply. He could only silently endure this pain and loneliness, waiting for the passage of time. Perhaps one day, he would find his own way of redemption. Leave after the child is born, as far away as possible. Chloe's body stiffened. "Cyril, or have an abortion. No. I don't want to make her sad. I've already made her suffer. I don't want her to know that I had this child with you. She's already left. Why can't I accompany you?" "She hasn't left. She'll always be Mrs. Cyril, but she's already signed the divorce agreement." "Don't deceive yourself anymore. As long as I don't sign it, it won't take effect." Chloe's eyes turned red. She forced herself not to let the tears fall, and her voice was a bit choked. "Cyril, you're so obsessed with the past. How can you see me in front of you? I've never thought of replacing anyone. I just want to accompany you through this difficult time. This child is innocent. He's the proof of our love. You can't treat him like this." Cyril closed his eyes, and 2 lines of clear tears slipped from the corners of his eyes and dropped onto his clothes silently. His voice was low and hoarse. "Chloe, you don't understand. My love for her has been engraved in my bones and melted into my blood. I've tried to forget and let go, but I can't. Whenever I close my eyes, her figure will appear in my mind and won't go away." Chloe tightly held Cyril's hand. Her hand was cold and trembling, but she still persisted. "Cyril, I know your pain and I'm willing to bear it with you. However, you can't let the child pay for your past. He's innocent. He should have a complete family and the love of his parents. Leave. Cyril. Get out." No one knew that the people he sent out didn't find any clues at all. It was as if this person didn't exist. Her Weibo, bank card, WeChat all had been cancelled and even her ID card couldn't be found. Since that day, Cyril seemed to have locked himself up. No one had ever seen a smile on his face and no woman was seen beside him anymore, until one day, the court summons was sent to the C family. Cyril tore the summons like crazy. The people from the court said, "Mr. C, we have copies. Miss Daphne said that you two have nothing to do with each other anymore. She's already signed the divorce agreement. Please give her the last bit of dignity. Hearing this, Cyril's eyes turned red and he signed that agreement. 3 years later, brother, come back early from this business trip. Mom's health isn't very good. Annie told Cyril. Annie had watched her brother change from such a cheerful person to what he was like now in these 3 years, and she felt a bit regretful. Yeah, Cyril said faintly. Just then, his pupils shrank and he quickly ran out. I shouldn't have let you come back. I'm afraid you'll be sad. Aiden looked worried. I smiled. I no longer had that kind of pain. With Aiden's company in these 3 years, I had lived a good life. He understood me better than Cyril. Don't worry. I'm fine. Didn't I say that I've already let it go? How can one let go of someone they love so quickly? You know me. I can't tolerate any flaws in a relationship, not even a little bit. I'm very serious about relationships, but he wasn't. So I had to let him go and also set myself free. Aiden breathed a sigh of relief. What about me? Do I have a chance? I looked up at him. His eyes were full of me. I said seriously, Aiden, I've been married before. I'm not an innocent girl anymore. Aiden put his index finger on my lips and said in a low voice, I don't care. What I care about is you. The person I love is you. I was slightly startled and complex emotions surged in my heart. Aiden's eyes were firm and gentle, as if they could penetrate all worldly prejudices and restraints and reach the softest part of my heart. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my heartbeat down, but found that I had been touched by this deep affection. Aiden, I'm afraid I can't give you what you want. I said softly, with a hint of uncertainty and hesitation in my voice. He gently shook his head, his eyes full of understanding and tolerance. What I want has never been a flawless love. What I want is you, your smile, your strength, and also your vulnerability. I'm willing to use all of myself to protect you, warm you, and heal your once broken heart. I lowered my head and tears welled up in my eyes, but I forced myself not to let them fall. Aiden's words were like a warm current, slowly flowing into my heart and melting the ice in it. I raised my head and looked at him again. This time, there was more determination in my eyes. Aiden, I'm willing to give you a chance and also give myself a chance. However, we should clearly know that the road ahead may not be smooth. Let's work hard together. Hearing this, Aiden's face broke into a bright smile, which was like the warm sunshine in spring, illuminating every corner of my heart. He tightly held my hand, as if he wanted to pass all his strength to me. And no matter what the road ahead is like, I'll hold your hand and walk with you. Cyril looked at the scene in front of him. He couldn't believe it. He called my name hoarsely, Daphne. My smile froze instantly. I turned my head and saw that the once high-spirited person was now in a mess, with an unshaved beard and dull eyes. I looked at him calmly and greeted him, Cyril, long time no see. He didn't say anything. I slowly said, anything else? If not, we'll leave. Seeing that he was silent, I took Aiden's hand and was about to leave. Cyril spoke up, Daphne, don't you want me anymore? I paused but didn't look back. Cyril, it was you who didn't want me. After saying that, I didn't stop and left the airport directly. Cyril stared at that figure, his eyes turning red. She really didn't want me anymore. Annie followed behind and just felt a lump in her throat. Brother, the plane is about to take off. Cyril closed his eyes, opened them again, and there was a cold look in his eyes. Then he turned around and entered the airport. Since then, we've never seen each other again. I haven't even contacted his friends. Aiden and I got married a year later. That day, I informed Scarlett. She hugged me and cried bitterly, saying that she had broken up with Ryan and that they were bad people. I just smiled and didn't say anything. When it comes to relationships, we can only say that some are just not meant to be. Life isn't as passionate as it was at first sight, just like relationships, which aren't as sweet as first love.